Hello world of YouTube, welcome to a Carversation, and a hot button one at that. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that's back in the media, and that is violence in video games. Something that has been circling the media since before I was born, but I had a lot of interest in when I was in middle school. And in the wake of the recent tragedies that have struck the country that I live in, the United States, the media has taken it upon themselves to once again spin this into a point where they can blame games for these issues and the inspiration behind these tragedies. And it's ridiculous. When I say that I had an interest in it in middle school, I wrote papers on it. You know, because as you guys may know, maybe, if you're not new to this channel, I like video games. It's half of the content that I make is game-centric content. And I've been playing games of all kinds since I was a little kid. And I know that everybody's different, but, I mean, I feel like I'm a textbook example of the average person who grew up playing all different types of video games. You know, there's countless research that I found then, and I'm sure you could find even more now, that goes against everything the media is spinning when it comes to violence in video games. And it's frustrating. Only because it paints video games in such a bad light. And it's disheartening, because there's a real issue at hand, and to point the finger at some place that it doesn't belong, I feel like detracts from the conversation. And while I'm not going to spend this video getting much into the conversation myself, because all I'll say is you can read one of the shooter's manifestos, and it clearly references our current head of state, not anything revolving around Quake or Doom or Apex, which is the big shooting game right now, or Call of Duty, which is still a juggernaut franchise. It's pointed in one direction, and that's all I'll really say about that. I'd rather the focus be put on that. But yeah, when it comes to games and gaming, violent gaming being an issue, I've never believed that. I've always believed that there are people, obviously not every person is made the same, and there are people that could be susceptible to stuff like that, which is what research would also insinuate and lead towards. But not everybody, every mind can be shaped like that. And I feel like it's more part to do with the parents or any guardians of younger minds that are being molded to enforce that anything that happens in a game or in a movie, because this argument has been brought up for movies and comic books as well. You know, that's why the MPAA exists. That's why the ESRB exists. The ESRB is a council, a board that was made because of trials about violence in video games. You know, and it's not their fault that parents of children who are already prone to violence and prone to heinous acts don't restrict their children from media that'll enhance those thoughts and mindsets. You know, people do the same thing with music. You know, people want to slam music for being the inspiration for slaughter. You know, people claim Marilyn Manson and Quake were the inspiration to Columbine, and I just don't buy that. I just don't buy it. Because if you ask anybody who makes those things, who makes games, who makes music of the type that's being pinpointed against, they will tell you it does not come from a place of hate. It does not come from a place of misguided anger towards the world. Now, obviously, with film and music, there are extreme cases where an artist or a director may have
this nihilistic, anarchistic view set that they're trying to paint against the world, and they are using that as sort of propaganda to fuel an agenda, but those are outliers in that scenario. You cannot paint a broad stroke across everyone who makes that kind of media, because it's just not true.
And if you look at anybody who's had readily available diaries or entries talking about their lives before they do something big like a mass shooting, it doesn't really link to stuff like that. To just throw video games under the bus once again, like I said, detracts from the conversation in my mind. You know, do I think it's dumb that stores like Walmart are pulling violent video games from their shelves? Absolutely. You know, because I feel like that's not going to stop anything. There's plenty of places that people can go get a violent game if they wanted to. Hell, you can buy shit online now. You don't even need to make a one-to-one transaction. I can go home right now and download the newest or the last Doom game and pre-order the newest Doom game. So when it comes out, it's already on my PlayStation waiting for me. So companies pulling out the selling and distribution of violent games, I feel like it's just a half-assed attempt at trying to garner or say their sympathies. It's the same thing as an empty thoughts and prayers. You know what I mean? I feel like better action needs to be taking place, and blame shouldn't be placed where it is at the moment. And I'm frustrated. I'm very frustrated with this subject because, again, as someone who's been playing games pretty much his whole life, who has never viewed them or heavy music or horror movies as a place to inspire carnage, I hate that the media is still spinning this story. You know, it's whack. It's super whack, to put it bluntly. I just hope that, because from what I've seen on social media, people kind of are shutting that shit down, that the media listens, or that representation listens. People that want to push the proper prerogative, the proper agenda, are taking notice. Because people also want to slam just Donald Trump, but this has been an argument on both sides. You know, while I voted for Hillary Clinton, or I tried to, that's a complicated story. I'm not the biggest Hillary Clinton fan either, because in the 2000s she was very anti-game. You know, I know in her last election she was all
Pokemon go to the polls.
But when she was a politician in the 2000s, she was saying a much different story, and she was pretty anti-violent game. It's always been a conversation it's always been something up for debate, and it's something that I'm tired of seeing up for debate. But that's my piece. That's my piece on violence in video games and its representation in the media and all that sort of stuff. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you play violent games? Do you feel like a violent person by playing violent games? What do you think about companies like Walmart pulling violent games from their shelves? How many times do you think I could say violent games in these questions? Let me know in those comments down below. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your support on here and on Patreon, which if you'd like to join the people that are supporting me right now, link is in the description. I'm going to go. I have been Viral Rack. You guys have good days, lots of situations, and I'll see you another day.